I see it's a packed venue today. Good to see you all here. Welcome at the Revealed conference today. I'm here with owner, guest and friend Hardwell. We're gonna do a Q&A from his side, and I wanted to ask you to keep it mainly about the production side today. To me it's a really special day because I've been an artist at Revealed myself for about like 5 years, I think. I started off with one of the very first releases. We did a collaboration. Eventually I ended my career and started being an artist coach, and today I'm here asked to do the Q&A with Robert. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for doing this.
No problem, man.
Thanks everyone for coming as well.
Yeah. So let's just start the Q&A here. We have this mic. As you can see, it's a box. I'm gonna throw it into the audience.
It is a microphone. It looks weird, but you can actually throw the microphone.
Yeah, it's in here. So if you get it, you can talk into this little thing, and we all hear you. So like I said, try to please keep it on the production side of it, and he's here to answer all your questions. So where do I throw it first? No, I want to throw it to the back. No, here you go.
How you process your kick, because in every track I feel the power in each kick you have.
I'm gonna walk to my laptop too. I can talk about it. I think this is the most asked question about my kick drums. Is everything on the screen? There's not a certain way, so everybody can see it, right? Well, we're in Logic now for people that are not familiar with Logic. I think the way you process your kick, it's not about the kick sample itself. Like, the way I mix my kick drums is a combination of cutting all the low frequencies of your bass line, except for the sub bass line. Then you have the sub bass line, which is like sidechain way too hard. Like the feeling, if I solo my kick and my sub bass line, you have the feeling it's like too much sidechain. But because there's like, let's say, electro bass line on top of it, with less sidechain, it feels natural. And the way I do it, my kick is always a little bit too loud. It's always like a little bit too loud going into the master channel. And on the master channel, I use a compressor to actually glue it back into the track. And it's, well, I can only play my kicks, and yeah, it's a question. It's not like I can show you one particular thing how to do it.
Do you use like, do you create your own kicks like with audio files and layer them, or do you use a plugin to create them, or?
Well, I'm using like all my old kick drums from back then, and I layer them, and I used to make those kick drums.
So you have your own sample pack actually.
Here, Apollo Cobra, and John Dahlbeck kick, encoded, some dead mouse kind of kicks, I call it hard mouse, an analog kick, How We Do, Spaceman, Tiesto Secrets kick, 076, and like all those kicks, I made them like from 2012 until now, and they still sound fresh to me, and I just layer them. And every track my kick sounds different because I EQ it differently, I use a different compressor. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. The only thing what I'm really doing lately is always pitching the kick in the right key. Okay. I know it's not necessary, but it sounds so much better.
In the key of which you play in the track. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it collides together, of course.
Exactly.
And would you say that working like this, so having your own sound bank, really helps with the workflow? So you can go faster in the melodies and into the creative part of making music?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, I'm working on the Hardwell sample pack as well for all the pro users on the Revealed community. There's a Hardwell pack coming with like all my samples. Like, I know people describe my sound always as like super clean.
Yeah.
Well, all the samples in that pack will be like extremely Hardwell sounding, like super clean claps and snares and custom-made build-ups and everything I use, like the signature sound.
Awesome. So yeah, let's just throw it to someone else. Is there someone else who wants to ask a question here? I saw a few hands. Someone behind you? Oh, there? Yeah, let's go there. Wow.
Oh!
Yikes. You have to catch it.
Hey, I just wanted to ask how you get your ideas and what beginners can do to improve themselves.
How I get my ideas? That's actually a good question. It really depends. Like, it can be a moment I'm chilling on my couch watching Netflix, a certain melody pops up into my head, or I'm listening, most of the time I'm opening Spotify and I'm just randomizing music. Like I'm never listening to the music I know. I always try to listen to new music, and sometimes a new track inspires me, and you're always in a certain emotion. And I think before you go in the studio, well, at least this works for me. Back in the days when I went in the studio with no ideas and I was just messing around, nothing came out. Because I didn't have the feeling like, oh, today I want to make a progressive track, or I want to make like a big room electro track or whatever. I always had a certain idea in my head. So if I had a certain melody in my head, I already knew what kind of track I wanted to produce. And that really helped me improving my workflow, because I knew exactly what, if you know exactly up here what you want to create, then it's so much easier to actually just process it into the computer, and your workflow will be way faster, instead of like, oh, I have a melody but I have no clue which direction I want to go. It's going to take forever and ever to finish the track, and even when it's finished, you will never be satisfied. So yeah, I think the biggest tip I can give for a beginner is always try to work on a track in your head. Basically finish the track in your head, like know what kind of sounds you want to use and know exactly what kind of emotion you want to have in your track, and then start working on your computer. At least this works for me.
And I think if you already have the idea, the only boundary that you have is that you don't know how to make it, so you have to get used to using the program, doing compression. Like, how can you create the sound that you have in your head, actually? You have to know that, of course.
I think, especially nowadays, everything is like available on YouTube everywhere in tutorials. So if you're like, oh, I really want to know how Martin Garrix did that tremolo lead. No, you Google Martin Garrix tremolo lead tutorial, you download a Fruity Loops file, a Logic file, and you can actually see how it works.
Yeah.
That's how it works nowadays. And that's an easy thing. But then study the preset. And for example, if it's silent, open silent and see what the guy did to create or recreate that sound, and try to recreate yourself. How I learned to do sound designing, I'm not like the best sound designer, but how I learned myself to sound design is just recreating tracks from somebody else.
Yeah, that's a good way, actually.
Just try to mess around and watch tutorials, what the difference is between a saw lead and a square lead, like the basic stuff, and then later on you know all the LFO tools and all that kind of stuff. But
awesome. Next question. In the back, all the way there. Can you throw it to that guy? You see him?
Small.
Oh.
Yeah, just like,
yeah. Maybe you should put it over here.
Hi. When you're producing a track, are you also sound designing then, or are you just being creative and sound designing whenever you're not inspired? Like, how do you, if you start sound designing, you easily spend a few hours on a little detail, maybe.
I never go into details like in the beginning. I always start with the piano, writing chords, writing the melody, and then from that point on, I'm gonna skip presets. Like, oh, I'm looking for whatever, this kind of lead sound, like a high squarey lead. I just open a simple sound bank till I find like a square lead that comes close to what I think, what's in my head. Then later on, I'm just gonna add the kick, bass line, everything, like every single thing, but without EQ. I'm just gonna create the track, everything in a loop underneath each other, and then from that point on, I start sound designing. It's really hard, actually, well, hardly that I don't tweak a preset. I always open a preset and make it myself. I just tweak the presets. I never actually recreate sounds from scratch, because simple-wise, why not? Because I want to be creative, and for me it takes too much time. It's too much time consuming.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Next question up front here. Can you throw it to this guy? Yeah, here. Can you stand up? Awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Joe. Hey, Hardwell. How's it going, man?
Good. Yourself?
All right. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you and the Reveal team for setting this awesome event up. I think we're going to get tons of, knowledge and information for aspiring artists. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Also, I had a question. So, how does your production process start? Like, do you start working on a melody on the breakdown, or do you start with the drop, or do you maybe even start from the intro? How's that process? Because when I try to produce a song, sometimes I start off with the drop, but it doesn't really inspire me, so I go back to the break, I try to do a break, and then it kind of builds to the drop. How do you work with that?
It depends. It can be the break or the drop, indeed. But I always have, as I mentioned, I always have that certain idea in my head. It can be a drop, can be a break, and I just start working around it. For example, last year I released a track, Blackout. Those were two different projects. I had that trancy break and I had that drop. I just repitched the drop. Like 2 semitones was in the same key and released it as one track. Because there were two different tracks. I was really inspired on that break and I was really inspired on that drop. But I never could find a way to actually finish that break because it was too trancy for me. And then all of a sudden it fit with that drop. So yeah, sometimes it's really weird. I just combine two different tracks actually, two different projects.
Thank you so much.
Next question up front here. Yeah.
Thank you. I really love the synth fillers on your drop lead and on the 4 or 8 bars. You put a different sound on your to make an interesting like transition. Do you mostly use samples or do you make that on your own as well?
No, I basically, well, you mean the fills, right?
Yeah, the synth fills.
Yeah. Well, the synth fills sometimes it can be a sample. Sometimes I make it myself. Most of the time, it's just the break lead. And for example, I always use the synth from the break and play like 3 simple notes. So if you have the melody in the break, and you use that preset, you just that's it. And then on top of that, I just use like a cashmere snare from his pack or something like that, just a cashmere fill on top of it. Yeah, but that's how it is. Yeah. But like the synth fills I make, it's basically just the synth from the break. It's nothing really really special.
Thank you.
Cool. So next question, all the way there. Yeah. Oh. It's a fun thing, the mic.
Okay, I have a question regarding mastering. I heard, or at least I read, that you do all the mastering of your released tracks yourself.
Yeah, I do everything with the mastering myself.
Okay, I'm wondering how do you get that much time? And the second question is that in the last time I saw on different tracks that a lot of tracks go over 0 dB on the true peak. And I think I analyzed the power move track, and you went.
Which one?
The power move.
Yeah,
track,
yeah.
Yeah, and it goes to maybe 1.4, 1.5 GP. And so, is there a specific limit where you won't go over it, or just you listen to it and to try to hear when it clips, and just push it to the max? Because there's maybe dubstep tracks which go plus 3 or 5 dB true peak, but it's still not distorting. But I think in your tracks it's a little bit lower, because in dubstep it's always the snare and the kick, which is really loud. Maybe you can tell us a little bit what your approach is in mastering.
Yeah, mastering. It's actually a good question. I never actually watch meters. I know a lot of people study meters. I just use my ears. I just try to, especially like a track like Power Move, the one I did with Moxie, that those sounds really ask for like a loud mix down. You need that energy, like you need to squeeze that mix. But as long as it's not distorting, it's not distorting. And I can open a meter and see, as you said, like it's 1 or 2 dB over in the red. Well, to me, the track sounds good, you know, and I can level it down, but I just use my ears. As long as it's not distorting, it really works for me. And as you mentioned, yeah, even dubstep tracks are way harder. If you watch the mastering of a Skrillex track, it's unbelievable how loud he mixes his tracks. But then again, dubstep is completely different compared to like an EDM track, because you have way more space, the BPM is slower, so you have way more space to actually push your mix louder.
Okay, so basically just listen to it and see how loud it can get, and then you push it to the max.
Yeah, I just push it to the max, like I compare my track to other tracks and listen how loud it is, and it's basically the sound design itself. It's not like really mastering. Obviously, you push your track into the limiter, and I always use my ears. Like I'm never watching actually a meter, like how loud it is. And for a track like We Are Legends, for example, it's a progressive house track. Obviously, I don't mix it that loud because it needs to be like, it needs more dynamics. It needs to sound more beautiful. But like the track with Moxie, yeah, it's as loud as you can. It's like hardstyle. Just push it all the way in the red.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. There's someone in behind you. Yeah, awesome.
Hey Hardwell, how are you? What's it like making a track with a super producer like Cashmere, and did you learn anything new from him, production-wise?
With the collab with Cashmere was like a real big honor for me. He really inspired me. during that collab. When the whole track is literally one of the biggest collabs I've done. And why am I saying that? Because we really created the track back and forth, back and forth. Kashmir came with the vocal line. Then I wrote the basic chords underneath it. Sent it back to Kashmir. Now everybody knows how crazy Kashmir is with chords, so he basically changed a lot of chords and he sent it back. I came up with the Dutch melody, I like to call it. Then we really went back and forth, and even when the track was almost like 90% finished how it is right now, Kashmir kept changing stuff, like the whole second breakdown of Power. You hear like the violins and the classic part. He did that in 5 minutes. He sent it back, oh, I have another idea. And he WhatsApped me like, yo, I have another idea, check this out. It's like, whoa, dude, this is amazing. How did you do this in 5 minutes, you know? How did you manage to do that? No, Kashmir is a really great producer. I love the way he talks about his tutorials and even like how to make snare fills and build-ups and everything. Yeah, it was a really, really great time with him, spending it like on Skype in the studio with each other.
Cool. There was someone on the right, yeah, there. Can you turn it? Yeah.
Well, thanks. I have a question about the radio edits you make.
Yeah.
The extended edit mix is for DJs to mix in, and the radio edits are way shorter, of course. But how do you select the radio edit from, for example, Power? I think the extended mix is so much more energy than the radio mix. How do you select what you're going to use for the radio edits?
That's a good question. I hate radio edits. That's
Me too.
Like, seriously. If I promote that track, if I promote Power the way it is on the radio, they're never gonna play it. And it's not even a shorter version. The whole radio edit is like how can I say that? It's like there's no energy in a radio edit. Like on the Power radio edit, check it on Spotify. Yeah. The extended mix, in my opinion, is exactly how it should sound. The radio edit, the kick is -6 dB, the vocal is +2 dB. The synth is +2 dB, so that on the radio, when the stereo compressor kicks in, it sounds radio friendly. And then I'm talking not about you guys, but like the old grandmas driving in the car and the radio is playing Power. It still sounds cool, you know. You don't have like that energy. The radio don't want to play that energy. That's as simple as it is. On Spotify, it's different, but for the radio, yeah, I know. Like in Power, there's no build-up.
No,
you only have the vocal and the drop, and that's it. Because the build-up takes too long on the radio for people that don't like dance music. And imagine if your track is being played on the radio and Ariana Grande plays, and then the script, and then Power. You're like, whoa! You know, it's too much energy on the radio, and people get confused. That's why we make a less festival version. Let me put it that way, to actually play it on the radio, and with success, because Power is now all over Dutch radio, and I'm happy finally to hear like a proper EDM track back on the radio, because it's been a while that there was like one proper pop track on the radio.
I agree with that.
Let's just turn it all the way back here to the left. Can you stand up? Yeah.
Hey Hardwell, could you like show us a project about how you like layer your leads? If you have a project file on your laptop,
I'm not sure if I have seriously a project on my laptop. The only thing I have the stems here for is, I think it's all audio stems. Yeah, this is all audio stems.
No, that's going to be hard, I think.
Well,
maybe you can do it live, or is it hard? Or... Yeah, just try it like this.
I'm going to use it. I'm just going to show you what kind of leads you're talking about. You want to learn how... Oh, yeah. Which kind of synths? Like the drop synths or like the big room synths?
The drop synths.
The drop synths? Yeah, it's different. Like I'm not using like one particular sound. Which track do you like?
Power.
Power. Power is actually a simple monotone. Thank you. It's a simple square lead actually. As easy as it is, you already can hear like how Power was created. It's just as simple as that. A little noise on top of that. stereo, not that loud. For as simple as it is, let me use everything in here. That's one thing as well, I actually never use external reverbs or delays. When you click a preset, it's exactly, it triggers you the way it sounds, right? So why would you recreate it with, like, let's say a better plugin, especially with a synth like Spire, the reverb and the delay sounds so good. So and sometimes I like that the synth or like the reverb in the silence sounds so crappy. Yeah. You know, like that creates that certain sound. This is basically the, I always use like a long size. This is basically the main one, and it's layered with a really detuned one. I didn't make that lead sound because that lead sound is straight up secrets from Tiesto. Like Kashmir came up with this preset. He used the same preset in Dharma with Headhunters. That's the same lead sound, so he did that. But as simple as it is, that's just, it's nothing more than a sawtooth, like really hard detuned. So it's a little. There's a little pitch, a B on top of it. Let's say 16. And there's a little horn effect on it. I like to call it like a horn effect. It was like. This is basically the lead, how we use lead, and don't forget when you play different notes to put on the portamento. This is basically this in combination with the other lead we just made. This is basically the whole basic stuff of the leads of power.
There's one in the back there. Nice throw.
Hi. As my colleague said, thanks for all this event. It's just amazing.
Thank you.
And I wanted to ask about the mixing.
Yeah.
It's just a quick question. Do you mix it on the project you do, or you stem it and you do it apart?
Back in the days, I actually did it apart. But with the computers nowadays, you have enough CPU to do it like in the box. So yeah, my track is like finished in the project itself. I don't use external mastering stuff to finish it. The moment I click on export or bounce, my track is finished, mastered and everything.
And if I can make a quick second question. As my other colleague said, he asked about the drop lead, and I want to ask about the chord you did in Hands Up, called with Afrojack, just released 1 week ago, I think. And, I really like the chords you make. If you can maybe a quick tutorial on how you layer it, that one, if it's okay.
Yeah, sure. We did that in Afrojack in studio, though. The leads for Hands Up were 2 Nexus presets, actually. As simple as it is. Let me check. Yeah. Let me think, which leads did we use? Because Afrojack wanted to recreate that Swedish House Mafia sound from Greyhound. And big flip on it. We did that with. Was it this one? No. This one on the Move. That was basically the main synth, the main Hardwell synth. This is the main chord synth with like the distorted one on top of it. Let me see. Let me do a quick search here. Yep. This is the main lead. It really sounds Swedish House Mafia. That was the main lead you hear in Hands Up. This is exactly the lead we used. Exactly, this is the two presets we use for Hands Up, and obviously with the whole mastering on top of it, and the way you play your chords, layer your MIDI notes, that's
it's all about how you combine things, right?
Yes, how to combine things, and those two sounds were so different, we actually didn't layer it. It sounded really naturally combined for somehow, because it's like super cheesy. This is actually a really cheesy lead, but like with those more beautiful chords, it sounded perfectly.
And for this you also used like the built-in reverb?
Yeah, this is it. This is how we used it.
Easy as it is.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question. Can you throw it up front here? Yes.
Good catch.
Yes. I have a question about vocal production.
Yeah.
And not like the mixing wise, but the vocals of the sounds very emotional, like good coached. Are you doing this part by yourself, and or how do you do this production, like writing?
Back in the days, especially when I started at the Rock Academy, we did a lot of vocal mixing. I did a lot of mixing for rock bands as well. Nowadays, I'm so lucky to work with like big singer-songwriters from, let's say, LA and the UK, and they actually deliver me the dry vocals, like all the vocal stems, and I just group them in one bus, compress them. Nothing like EQ-wise, it's not that I use that much different stuff on it, because like it's so well recorded. And as you said, vocal coaching, I'm not even there when they record the vocals. Like they just send it over, and most of the time I send out my instrumental track to different singer-songwriters, then we pick the best one, the best top line, and then we use those vocals to finish the track.
Do they deliver a dry vocal?
Yeah, they deliver wet and dry, but since I can never use the wet one, because when I import it and it goes to my master chain, the wet one, the reverb and the delay will be like pulled up by the end compressor. So I always use the dry one and try to recreate the delays and the reverbs.
Do you make like some points on like vocal production, like sing it more like this, or you just receive it and mix it?
That depends. For example, I worked so many times with Jonathan Nelson, with We Are Legends. We only changed one little word, and that's it. But for Arcadia, we had 42 versions before the final vocal was finished. So yeah, that took a long time to actually finish that track.
Cool. Someone here. Can you stand up? Yes. Nice weather.
When you produced Run Wild, there was the original edit, and then there was also an alternative edit.
Yeah.
What inspired you to produce two edits of the same song?
Run Wild is a funny thing. I actually started the track. The whole track was started by me and Jaap, you know, Jake Reese, the singer. And then intentionally, I did that track with W&W, like the club version, the official release. And then they helped me doing the production, but they didn't like the vocal that much. So we decided to do it as a Hardwell release. While on the other hand, we had like a small demo version, and I wanted to play it in my set. The original mix was a mashup of a demo I had laying around with Headhunters. So Run Wild is a super weird thing. The original mix, like the radio track you're talking about with the organ, that was supposed to be a collab for me and Headhunters, and then the other track was a collab with W&W, and it ended up being Hardwell Run Wild. So it was like really weird. But when we had that mashup playing around, I say that mashup, I mean like the Headhunters version, he was like, yo, but you can release it, that's fine, you know, just give me the credit and that's it, because otherwise we would never finish that track, because we were working on, at that time we were working on Nothing Can Hold Us Down. So yeah, there was a raised question, but we had two versions, and in the end, like the Headhunters version was more radio friendly and the other one was more club friendly, so we decided to release the one as radio edit and the other one as like more club version.
Okay, there's someone there in the back. Can you stand up, please?
I have a question about the build-up drums. Are you using like loops? Because I'm always struggling in Logic with the pitching. When you pitch it up like in the before the drop, it shifts, and it sounds really bad.
I know, you should never use your drum samples as audio, because using let's say a wave sound pitcher, it messes it up. Like the transients sound bad. So let me show you how I do it. You just open the sampler and open a snare as a MIDI file. Everything I show in Logic, obviously you have a sampler in Ableton, and for everybody in Fruity Loops, they're laughing so hard because it's all sample based, so it's way easier to do that. Let's go to my friend Kashmir. Drums, snares, whatever, tight snares, I like it, sounds good. Perfect, D. Make sure you keep it in D, well, at least I do. Build up snare. There we go. This is how I pitch it. So how I make my snare rolls. There we go. As easy as it is. This is so much fun. Hey. There we go, and let's say you want to pitch it. Let me put the release everything first. Sounds decent to me. Well, here you have the pitch, and the difference between what I'm doing right now is because you load it in a sampler and a sample-based snare. When you pitch it this way, you actually draw the MIDI, which resamples your sound. And if you use a pitch shifter, it really struggles, first of all, with your CPU, but it really struggles to recreate that audio file. So this is the best way, quality-wise, to actually do it. Then you go to the MIDI automation. Here you have the pitch bend. I didn't say it, but I just changed here. As you can see, I changed the pitch to 1 octave, to 12. And actually, you just draw the automation here. Oh, wait. Here we go. That's how I do the build-ups.
Thank you.
There you go.
Can you throw it to that guy? Can you stand up, please? Yeah, you.
I had a question about, actually, also about layering, but more about like the bass. How do you make your, like when you have those bass coming on drops, say like Spaceman?
Yeah.
How do you come up to like layer the bass to make it sound so cool on the mix, yet, you know, so present? Like, how's the process of layering those kind of basses? Or
Spaceman is actually a perfect example. If you want to get your bass line that much in your face, don't layer it too much. The drop of Spaceman is 3 channels. It's the kick drum, it's the bass line you hear, so like the signature Spaceman bass line, and you have the sub bass line. And that's it. There's only 3 layers on the drum. And the trick with Spaceman is that, as I said in the beginning of this presentation, the electro bass line is not that hard sidechain compared to the sub bass line. The sub bass line is really hard sidechain, like the kick is completely